Welcome to CMS and You. I'm your host, Hira Mirza. September is National Preparedness Month, and we are excited to share some tips on how you can be prepared for natural disasters and other emergencies. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, or CMS, is the federal healthcare agency that administers Medicare and oversees Medicaid and the Children's Health Insurance Program, as well as the health insurance exchanges. Each month on CMS and You, we focus on a different health-related topic that impacts people covered by our programs. Being prepared for disasters is critical for everyone, including those with Medicare and Medicaid. Today, we're lucky to have with us Iskra Killgore and Ed Powell from New York City Emergency Management, who are experts in preparedness. Iskra is their Director of Community Engagement and Language Access. She's responsible for strategic planning and outreach efforts for both community and individual emergency preparedness. She is also a leader in helping make sure that important information is available in everyone's language during emergencies in New York City. As a Ready New York Community Engagement Coordinator, Ed Powell leads strategic planning and outreach efforts focused on engaging New York City's older adults. Sometimes he's the person out in the field giving presentations. He also helps develop and implement strategies to engage new partners and works to maintain New York City Emergency Management's existing network throughout the city. Iskra and Ed, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So let's just jump right in. Lots of our viewers experienced Superstorm Sandy and Irene, and not everyone was, ready for those types of disasters. So can you just start by telling us, why is preparedness so important? I don't know whoever wants to take that question.
What we know about emergencies is that they tend to happen unexpectedly. They disturb our normal day-to-day lives, and they're inevitable. We don't need to have a huge storm or a major emergency. It can be just a fire in your apartment that can be really traumatic to you. So we know that people who have emergency plans, who have thought about their support network in an emergency, tend to recover quicker, and they tend to experience less stress during an emergency. That's why it's very important to be prepared.
And during an emergency, time is critical. When you are prepared, it takes less time. So, being prepared means having a plan in place, having the necessary supplies you need to have on hand, and being informed or getting informed. So, being prepared can mean the difference sometimes between life or death.
You actually, Iskra, you made a really good point about emergencies being in your own home. So emergencies can be personal, right? Like, because when people often hear emergencies, they think of, hurricanes and tornadoes and something on a major scale. But there's a wide range of disasters that are smaller, right, that you need to be ready for. So what other events should our viewers be prepared for? And we have viewers that range in New York City, Brooklyn, Queens, and then all the way to southern New Jersey. So what are some of these different types of disasters that folks should be aware of and prepared for?
That's correct. In New York City, the #1 emergency every year is actually fires. And that happens in every state, in every city. So it's important for people to think about that. We also experience a wide range of weather emergencies, heat being one of them. It's the deadliest emergency in New York City. We just had a huge heat wave a couple of weeks ago. And so especially for people who are older than 65, people who have chronic medical conditions, it's very important to think about that. And then everybody knows in the winter we have blizzards, and we are in hurricane season right now, so that's also important. But one thing that I tell people is that they need to think about a hazard approach to preparedness, because when you think about all the different emergencies that can happen. It can be very stressful. It's almost paralyzing to people. And the steps that we ask people to take to be prepared, all hazard steps.
I would say with blizzards, I'm so happy I live in an apartment. At least I don't have to shovel snow. Like that, that adds to that range of issues that are when it comes to snow. So we talked a little bit about specific to New York City. So you have a program called Ready New York program. Can you tell us more about that?
Mm-hmm. The Ready New York program is our individual preparedness program, and through the program we do over 900 events in all 5 boroughs in the city. It goes to senior centers, we go to schools, nonprofit organizations, houses of worship, and the goal of the program is to educate people on what to do to be prepared for an emergency.
So continuing along the lines of that, can you tell us more about having a preparedness plan, and what are some of the health-related components about having a readiness plan?
Mm-hmm.
Well, of course, it's very important to have that plan in place. The health components, we talk about preparing what we call a go bag. Which is a bag that, any kind of good, strong, durable bag. Many people use the book bags that kids carry their books back and forth to school. We talk about preparing that go bag, and one of the things that you're going to include in the go bag is some of the medications that you're taking. So you would take some of your medicines, put them into a Ziploc bag, place that in your go bag. You also would want to make a list of the medications you take, and as well as any allergies you might have, why you take the medications that you do. On that list you want to include your doctor's contact information, as well as your pharmacist's phone number, and keep that with you all the time, so that when something happens, or if something happens, and you might, let's say, have a bad fall and become unconscious, emergency responders are trained to look for something like that on your person, so that they would know, let's say, you might be allergic to penicillin. They'd know not to give you penicillin because you'd have an adverse reaction. So that's some of the health-related information about preparedness.
And what are some of the other things people should have in an emergency preparedness kit, now that you've brought the kit up?
Well, and maybe you should take a look at the kit, and we'll show you.
Let's go for it.
Okay. So this is the go bag that we prepared.
This is great. I love this book bag.
Yes, it has to be personalized. So everybody has to think about what their needs are, and they need to put whatever they need in the go bag. And we recommend that every person has their own go bag in the family, and that includes children and also pets. So the first thing you want to have in your go bag is your plan, and this is a book that we have. People can get it for free from us or download it from our website, and this is where they will write their plan with all of their medical information.
Take a look at this.
Yep.
So we've got, oh, and it tells you all about names, relationships, how to evacuate. Oh, this is nice.
Yes.
Okay. So that makes it nice and easy for you, basically.
Yes.
And how to pack a go bag, too.
Yes.
Okay.
We have all that there. You also want to have a flashlight in case you lose power, and extra batteries. You always want to keep your batteries separate from your flashlight, because if you put them in, they may not work, especially if you don't check them regularly.
You get some behind-the-scenes information. I did not know that. We were talking about this before the show, and I have put batteries into a flashlight and just left it there. So I learned something today.
Of course, you want to have a first aid kit. Most
and
people
this you
know
can
that.
just buy, right, at the store.
Yes.
You just go to your local
Sure.
CVS or Dwayne Reed and pick it up.
Yep, exactly. You want to have a poncho in case it's raining, the weather is bad, that's good to have. We always recommend that people have a notepad. One thing we know about emergencies is people tend to forget information, and so writing everything down, especially when emergency responders give you directions or you go to a shelter, it's very important to have a place to write it down. So we recommend that as well.
And these days we're so reliant on our phones and tablets, and what if you lose power and you have no way of charging it?
Absolutely.
So it's so important to have, I'm constantly scrambling for pen and paper, and nowadays I'm thinking more and more about the fact that I should just have it readily available.
Sure.
Yes, absolutely. You definitely want to have a radio, again, a battery operated radio in case you lose power. You want to be able to get information, so having a radio is very important.
Keep lots of batteries.
Yes, keep lots of batteries. A glow stick, that is to get the attention of emergency responders if that's needed. That's also good to have. For the same reason, you want to have a whistle, and that is in case you are in a building and you can't evacuate.
Just to make some noise,
yeah,
right?
to make some noise to attract attention of people who are trying to help. So that's good to have as well. A dust mask, also if there is debris, you want to protect yourself. Obviously, you want to have toiletries, so toothpaste, toothbrush, comb, everything like that that you may need. And another thing we like people to have is a mirror blanket. So this is a very, very thin blanket, but it's very good if it's cold outside.
This is like Inception, like a bag within a bag within a bag.
Yes.
So we just got toiletries in here, nice and some nice space in here too to pack any other extra medications in here too, right?
Absolutely.
Make it nice and easy for you to find. Is that everything?
Yeah, I think those are the most basic things, but again, people need to customize this to their needs. I, for example, know that I get very easily bored, so I have my favorite book in my go bag, so if I have to go to a shelter...
And it calms you down too, right? Like
exactly.
something that to relax you if you're stressed out, if you need a stress ball, stick it in there, you know?
Yes.
All right, that's good to know. That's very good to know. I love this. This was great. Like I said, behind the scenes, right? I learned something today about packing my own emergency bag. So this was great, but besides a kit, what else do people need to be ready, and how can our viewers build a stronger support network?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned the network. We encourage people to develop what we call an emergency support network of people who might be family members or friends or people from your house of worship, or just any groups of people who you can depend on to keep in touch with you during an emergency. No one, absolutely no one, should go through an emergency alone. That's the worst. So these individuals would, just keep in touch, phone you, whatever, and just to be sure you're okay, twice a day at least, just to keep in touch and be sure you're okay. And it's reciprocal. It's not just that they called you. You could call other people and call them and check on them as well. So that support network can be as many people as you like. I like to see at least 6, 7 people, but just to keep in touch. That in an emergency can be very, very important.
In those moments too, we forget how important our neighbors are, right? And maintaining a relationship with our neighbors. For myself, and I know, like, growing up in New York City, sometimes you forget, you just kind of run to your apartment, but it's really nice to just maintain that relationship with your neighbors, because they're the easiest ones that you're going to have access to, right?
Absolutely.
And they're the quickest ones you can be like, are you all right? And look out for each other. So we're going to take this moment and we're going to take a quick break to see a message about what you need to know about your Medicare coverage after a disaster.
Hi, I'm Paul Vinogrodsky. Today I want to share with you important information about how people with Medicare can get health care and prescription drugs during a natural disaster or in an emergency area. Medicare rules may change for a short time if an emergency or a disaster is declared where you live. Watch for news from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services to stay up to date. With Original Medicare, you can always see any doctor who accepts Medicare. Wherever you go in the United States, you're covered. With a Medicare Advantage plan, like an HMO or a PPO, or another Medicare health plan, you should still see plan providers if they're available. But check your plan's website or call your plan to see if there are temporary rule changes while services are disrupted. Your plan's phone number is on your plan membership card. For emergency care, you can see any Medicare provider. What about prescription drugs, though? Here are some things you need to know about Medicare drug coverage during a natural disaster or other emergency. If you can't fill a prescription at your usual pharmacy, contact your Medicare drug plan to find another in-network pharmacy nearby. If you can't reasonably get to an in-network pharmacy, your plan can help you get drugs at an out-of-network pharmacy. However, you may pay more at an out-of-network pharmacy. If you need to replace damaged or lost prescription drugs, contact your Medicare drug plan for help with early refills. If you don't think you won't be able to return home for a long time, you may want to get an extended 60 or 90-day supply of your prescription drugs. Ask your plan whether it offers extended day supplies and which pharmacies you can use to get them. After an emergency or a disaster, people affected may have a special enrollment period to join, switch, or drop Medicare Advantage or Medicare prescription drug plans if the emergency or disaster prevented them from using another enrollment period. If you have a Medicare Advantage plan, another Medicare health plan, or a Medicare prescription drug plan, and you pay your plan's premiums directly to the plan each month, you're still responsible for paying your premium on time. Contact your plan to find out how to pay your premiums. That way, your coverage won't be interrupted. You can replace a lost or damaged Medicare card by calling 1-800-MEDICARE. That's 1-800-633-4227. You can also print a replacement Medicare card online with a mymedicare.gov account. If you don't have an account, visit mymedicare.gov to create one. Members of Medicare health or prescription drug plans should contact their plans directly to replace a lost or damaged membership cards. They can get their plan's contact information by calling 1-800-MEDICARE. That's 1-800-633-4227. Need to update the address where you get mail from Medicare and Social Security? Visit socialsecurity.gov or call Social Security at 1-800-772-1213. To get more information on Medicare rules during a disaster or emergency, go to our website, medicare.gov.
Welcome back to CMS and You. If you're just joining, our guests today are Iskra Killgore and Ed Powell from New York City Emergency Management, and we're talking about being ready for natural disasters or other emergencies. So let's go right back to it. What about our elders, whether they're family members or neighbors? What can we do to better assist them?
Many of our elders are on, life-sustaining equipment, and it's important to get in touch with the electricity provider, in this instance probably Con Ed, and let them know that you have life-sustaining equipment in your home, and when emergencies happen, you'll have get preferential treatment. They'll get in touch with you earlier, and this way you'll have much better opportunity to survive. Also, as I was mentioning before about the support network, it's crucially important that elders create that network of people, because it's going to be more difficult for them to get around and to get out without help sometimes.
Well, it's also on some of us people that have the access to be good Samaritans, right? So if we have elderly folks living close to us or in the neighborhood, it might be nice to just check up on them and let them know that we're around too, because sometimes it might be hard for them to make a support network. So it's nice to just, also on us sometimes, right, to be a good Samaritan, take that step forward and be like, hey, I'm here, we're here for you, right, this type of thing.
And something else about elders in particular, elders seem to be very reluctant, and I do a lot of work with them. We seem to be very reluctant to, act quickly on this. We say, oh, we'll do it later, but it's very, very important, and I just want to put that out there. It's very, very important that you don't do this tomorrow. Do it today. Create that support network today. Gather your supplies today. Start getting informed about emergency preparedness today, not tomorrow.
I love that message. That's correct. Can you tell us a little bit more about the many immigrants across New York City and the importance of language access?
Yes, so as an immigrant myself, I can share a personal story about emergency preparedness. I come from a place where we have a lot of earthquakes, for example, and I feel very prepared to respond to an earthquake. But the first place I lived in the United States was Florida, and Florida is known for hurricanes and flooding. I had no clue what a hurricane was. I had never experienced the flooding in my life, and one night I was driving home from work and I almost drove through a water because the road was flooded, which we know is very dangerous. And I go and speak to a lot of immigrant communities and I hear all these stories about people bringing their experiences from their country, but these experiences are not always relevant to the environment here. And so it's very important for people from other countries to get connected to their emergency management office and to get the right information, because we come with practices that sometimes are not applicable to emergencies here. In New York City, we do our best to provide information in all types of different languages. Our materials are available in 12 languages, the most commonly spoken in New York City. So we try to be out there and talk to everybody about how important that is.
And now that you look back, you're like, duh, I shouldn't drive through water,
exactly.
right? But like in the moment, it's like what I said about the flashlight, right? You're like, don't put batteries in there, and now I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
But you don't think about it in that moment. So do you have a final message about preparedness for everyone? And both of you can answer this, or one of you can answer this, but what would you like to share with our audience for that last message?
The most important message, I think Ed already said it, is be prepared. Don't delay this, because you never know when the next emergency will happen. And also follow the directions of the first responders and public safety agencies, because we see a lot of people when we issue an evacuation order or we ask people to shelter in place, they don't follow these orders, but that can lead to issues down the road. So please follow these messages and be prepared. I also wanted to mention the New York State has a program called the Citizen Preparedness Program, and they do presentations throughout the entire state. And you can sign up for those presentations, and at the end, you can get your own go bag from there for free.
Oh, that's great. Since September is National Preparedness Month, I'm sure there are many events going on around the city. So are there any that you'd like to highlight?
Yes, September is very busy for us. We have a lot of events going on in all 5 boroughs. I recommend that people go to our website, nyc.gov/readyny, and they will be able to see the calendar of our events. We are going to kick it off on September 4th in front of Brooklyn Borough Hall. It has a senior event on September 12th, and we would really like New Yorkers to come and join us.
That's great. And just one more time, give us that website again. People can go there for information and for the events as well.
Yes, the website is nyc.gov/readyny.
Great. Thank you so much. Did you have anything else for us, or is that did she cover it all?
She's covered
She's
everything.
covered it all.
She's very good with it.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. We really appreciate all this information. I personally learned a lot. So I hope our viewers also take all this information and do something very proactive with it. Please share the important information we have learned about preparedness with your family and friends. National Preparedness Month provides an opportunity to remind us that we all must prepare ourselves and our families now and throughout the year. For more information, please visit www.ready.gov. As part of your preparedness plan, take time to know your health insurance policy better, including Medicare and Medicaid flexibilities. Make a list of medications you take and have it ready in case you need to relocate. Be sure to have an adequate supply of your prescriptions as well. Check today to see if you can access your medical record electronically through a patient portal or electronic medical record. If you're not sure, ask your doctor or other healthcare provider. This could be important if you wind up separated from your regular provider for a very long time. For more information on Medicaid in your area, visit your state's Medicaid website or call your local Department of Social Services. You can go to medicaid.gov to find a link to your state Medicaid website. If you are interested in learning more about Medicare, check out our website at medicare.gov. You can also call 1-800-MEDICARE. That's 1-800-633-4227. We're available 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. If you don't know about it already, be sure to check out our amazing national podcast, CMS, Beyond the Policy. You can find it in your favorite podcast app or on the web at cms.gov/podcast. Send us topics you want to hear about on future shows. Our email address is tvshow@cms.hhs.gov. Until next time, be well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. This was great.
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. Those we use all the time with hardly a thought. Those that are silently standing by to save our lives. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere we go. Many mobile devices will now bring you wireless emergency alerts, real-time information directly from local sources you know and trust. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know wherever you are.